Welcome to Preparing for the Unexpected. I'm your host, Alex Fullick, and as always, we like to talk about things related to resilience, business continuity, artificial intelligence, disaster psychology, anything that helps you, your organization, or your community prepare for, respond to, and overcome adverse situations. Today, we're going to be talking about artificial intelligence. And I have a returning guest, and I think this is the first time actually on video. All the other times I think I've recorded with today's guest, it's been just audio. So this is a nice welcome surprise. I'd like to welcome to the show CEO at Tempest Risk Management, Andrew Zeigler. Andy, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Alex, and it's great to be joining you here again for the preparing for the unexpected, and happy to chat with you today and share what we've picked up over the last few months.
Yeah, well, the last few conversations we had were really interesting. We talked about lessons we can learn from firefighters, seven deadly cyber sins for small businesses, and what
Yeah,
was the last one? Other benefits of business continuity planning. So
yeah.
today is going to be really interesting as we talk about AI.
Sure is, sure is. Yeah, it's been quite disruptive to the industry. Obviously, not telling anything anybody doesn't already know. That there's a lot of opportunities. There are many upsides as well as some downsides and risks that small and mid-sized and even large business owners should really be prepared for. And so that's been a big topic of conversation lately, especially in the resiliency and business continuity circles. Is about defense, either against AI, or how to basically defend and understand AI while not detracting away or limiting what benefits and opportunities that it can bring to a company. So it's a real delicate balance that's really new territory for everybody.
And the reason why I reached out is because on that topic, you wrote some interesting posts on LinkedIn about what was it called? The three pillars of AI. So that's what I'd like to talk about today, those three pillars. And then I probably got lots of questions along the way, but we'll start there.
Yeah, certainly. So, if you, for your readers out there as well, a slight plug on LinkedIn, we have the Business Survival Guide. If you looked up the Business Survival Guide newsletter, which we publish, have been publishing for about, 4 or 5 years now, have over 1,000 subscribers. One of our recent series that we published was the AI adoption framework, and that's where we developed a three-pillar adoption framework for small businesses, schools, nonprofits, government agencies. And there's really three primary areas. Part one is adoption and implementation. Part two is cyber defense. And then part three is ethics and compliance, which I think is an area that's overlooked by a lot of companies. But actually, I think it should be a starting place for many companies discussing how and if, utilizing AI is really right for company and to what degree.
Well, I think that last one actually adds fear to everything because they don't know about the compliance or the ethical use of it. But we will get to that later on in the show. So why don't we focus on the first pillar, as you mentioned, that's adoption and implementation. So can you talk about those?
Certainly. And so just again, as a plug, if anybody wants to read all of the articles and the full framework, they can just find me on LinkedIn or go to our website, tempestnavigator.com /AI is where the whole thing is published. But the first framework or that first pillar is really about, we call it assessment and implementation. And that's really about starting with the assessment, which is to really step back. And this is what I would recommend any company or organization when deciding how to approach the AI question for them. And that assessment piece, it really should be coming at it from two different angles. What threats should we be concerned about, or what should we be worried about for AI? But then on the other side is what are we missing? How can AI potentially help our business in what way, and how could it help our business? Everywhere from workflow automation to having virtual AI agents manage your customer service and engaging with your customers, all the way through using AI to develop and manage your marketing and sales campaigns. There's lots of opportunities to consider. But what I find that a lot of the clients and that we've been working with recently in the AI space, there's really just sort of a lot of questions, more questions than anything else. And it's sort of a bit like boiling the ocean, right? Not even really being sure where to get started. So I always recommend that start with what you currently do today. That a business should really sit down and, as part of that assessment, take a look at their existing operations manual or business plan, or however you organize all of the functions that you perform in your business, as well as the things that you may be wanting to do or potentially wanting to launch. And it could be on your to-do list for years, potentially, but you just never had the capacity or knowledge in order to do so. I recommend starting there and asking an intentional question with each one of those services and each one of those things that your company may want to do, and ask, how can AI help? In fact, I even have a sticker, a post-it note that I keep up on my screen that simply says, how can AI help me do this? And this is just a reminder that actually I put up there about 2 years ago when I first started utilizing AI and AI agents in order to help my business become more efficient, in which we can pass those savings on to our clients, because the projects don't take us as long to utilize, because we utilize AI as our thought partner, as well as what we call a recent term that's come up, which is hybrid drafting. So we design policies and procedures and operations manuals for clients all over the world, and we utilize hybrid drafting, which is a way to accelerate quality yet customized content for your company. That could be a topic for another time, but regardless, there's lots of different opportunities that AI could bring, and I would suggest that companies recommend, start with that assessment piece, which is looking at their existing operations and how they could, start to step into that AI space. Looking at where they could go with it, and maybe a 2-3 year goal down the road might be, we want all of our customer service agents to be virtual agents. That might be a goal to set, just like you would in any other part of the business. Set a goal for a year from now, and then set a project, assign people to work on that project, and help advance your company to eventually meeting that goal. And then that's really where the implementation piece comes in. Usually a lot of, don't need as much technical expertise. A lot of companies and small business owners that I work with are really kind of afraid of the technology and a little overwhelmed by it. That's one of the beautiful things, is that once you start to understand AI technology, that a lot of them are actually built and designed to be very low code or no code solutions, meaning just have a conversation with the AI. Tell it what you want it to do, and it will tell you exactly what you need to do in order to get the end results that you're looking for.
What about cost cutting? I've noticed with a lot of people that I know, I'm famous for saying this now, conversations in the dog park, because we talk about everything when we're in there, uh,
Sure.
that a lot of people have said, "Oh, my company's adopting AI, so we know jobs are going. We know they're just doing it for cost cutting," and
Hmm.
not based on some of the things that you just went through. How can I use it to enhance, make us
Hmm.
better? It's
Right.
looked at more of how can I cut costs? AI.
Yeah, so certainly there's an opportunity for AI to help roles and responsibilities and positions evolve, is what I would say. I don't think it is going to be as some people fear, all of a sudden, within a few weeks, thousands of people are going to be laid off because AI has taken their jobs. There does need to be a period of transition. We have to be able to train these AI agents. The only way that AI can do anybody's job is just like a human being. They have to be trained in order how to do it. Now, it's this training that really, is sort of where the technical pieces come in, as well as the implementation, because the AI has to be trained on specific data sets and information that's available out there. In a lot of companies, the data that these agents would need to train for really aren't organized in a way that the AI could sufficiently, be able to do that job. So there's a lot of reorganization and restructuring that's going to need to take place with the existing people and subject matter experts in those roles today. Would need to eventually train that agent in order to be able to, have a virtual agent be able to do that job. And that's going to take time and time in order to refine. The value there, though, is that, let's say you have a call center with 100 different people, all right, who are all trained on the same information and should be answering the same questions that come in with that come in from customers. That what's going to happen is that if you have this 100-person call center, as soon as you have a fully trained AI agent that is as capable of performing all of the functions that a human being would, then eventually you're going to see that 100-person call center start to slowly scale away. But you're not going to see all of a sudden a laying off of that entire 100-person team. They might scale that back down to 10, and a lot of companies, yes, they're interested in cost savings, but there's also a human element as well. So natural attrition, hiring freezes, slowing down on hiring will eventually start to shift the industry from people who are actually doing to those who can still manage those AI agents, because the AI agents will still need somebody to manage them, and there will always be a population of human being who will want to talk to a human being. So the human beings and the human call centers will evolve into more of advanced or escalated talk to a manager type agents. So the first line is going to shift over into AI, and then that second line escalation will probably still be human beings who will be supported by AI in helping them, reach, those customers, easier solutions. That's where you'll probably start to see a big shift in the industry. But a lot of what's going to happen are going to be new things that, companies had never been able to do before because they didn't have access. So now it's not necessarily going to be taking somebody's job. It could be taking somebody's potential future job that the company may not have ever been large enough in order to be able to afford hiring somebody. So instead, bring on an AI agent in order to help you with those tasks. Maybe eventually bring on a human being in order to manage that. But starting out with AI is a very cost effective and affordable way in order to start offering new services or implement new features and services within the company and new processes and ways of doing things.
And I was couldn't help but think as you were talking there that some of these people, let's use the 100 people again in the call center, those that are being trained and providing input, they're going to be enhancing their skills too by doing that, by being involved. And then you
Yeah,
mentioned even if they lose their call center jobs, let's say, I'll just say it blankly like that.
yeah,
They've enhanced their skills now to participate in some of those future opportunities that the organization didn't know it could do. Because now their skills are enhanced with AI, they can actually move on as well and become a part of
right.
that. Hey, I can help develop this whole new line of business, shall we say,
Yeah,
because it wasn't there before, but because I've learned what to do with AI over here, I'm not working in the call center anymore, but I'm now in the project management team, and we're developing this whole new line of business. So you can use it still to enhance people and move them forward.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So another thing to consider, especially when it comes to companies, and again, there is fear out there about AI taking jobs. One thing that we learned actually during the pandemic when talking about, and I think you and I have talked about this before, we've known each other that long, about virtual operations, right? And what types of positions and industries can actually be done virtually versus what are more hands-on. There are some things, that are very hands-on that really just aren't going to be taken over by AI in any, reasonable foreseeable future because they require those physical pieces, right? The robotics and things like that, which there's been a lot of advancement for, but not, with the ability to kind of fully take over a lot of those roles and things like that right now. And so we learned again from the pandemic that about 70% of the jobs in the US anyway are either fully hands-on, so they're going to be things like working in a hospital or a landscaper or things like that, or painting, whatever the case may be. They're going to be hands-on or they're going to be hybrid, in that they're going to be a mixture of hands-on as well as virtual thing, right? So think about medical industry, healthcare, would be big into that. There's some hands-on, but a lot of office and sort of computer back-end work as well. So, that 70% of jobs, or a good portion of that 70% of like manual labor jobs, or those that require some sort of hands-on, are relatively safe, at least for the time being. And not really, I don't think that there's that much of a concern with like mass layoffs in the majority of the industries or in majority of industries just because of AI. I think you're going to see more of a natural shift in that you're not going to see things like call center jobs or, minor IT technicians and IT support or coding and developing. Yes, there are going to be industries which are going to shrink, and they're going to shrink rapidly. But what's going to happen is many of those jobs will be, and those people will be able to shift over into other areas of the industry, which are going to need more people, more more hands-on, more direct input because of AI, a lot of companies out there are going to be able to increase their capacity, increase their reach, and they will still need human agents in order to be able to facilitate various aspects of the business as they continue to grow. So that's what I see as far as an outlook that a lot of companies are going to, how a lot of companies will evolve in the near future.
Nice. We have 1 minute left in this segment. Any final thought on the first pillar?
No, just honestly that, well, I guess yes. Yeah, the one thing would be assessment and implementation, right? So it's really take a look at your existing business and have an intentional, thoughtful conversation about whether right now is the right time to, to migrate something over into an AI space or start to, lean into that, and then have a intentional discussion on the implementation of those things, just like you would any project in your company or taking on a new website or transitioning your services from manual bookkeeping to QuickBooks. I don't know, just like you would any other aspect of the company. Approach it with the same way with AI and the type of capabilities that it can have. Do your work and don't just dive into something hoping for the best. Make sure that it's intentional and you understand the direction that you're going.
Right. Great. We've come to the end of our first segment. We are talking today with Andrew Zeigler from Tempest Risk Management, and we are talking about artificial intelligence, and we will be right back.